So I'm back at the data center, okay, because I got a text message from the guy saying, hey, we got the hole finished. I'm like, awesome. So I'm gonna head down here. So it's been a couple days, drive down here, and I come here, and this is what I see. The hole is done. Doesn't look done to me. But yeah, they literally just removed the drywall from one side of the wall. They didn't remove the drywall from the other side, and they left all the studs there. My fans are right there. I told them I'm mounting fans up. Like, what? And so I messaged them and like, hey, why didn't you guys remove the studs and the drywall? And they're like, oh, I don't know how to remove the metal studs. Like, it's above my pay grade. You can remove drywall? We can't move. I can move that. I'm gonna take this hole out myself. I'm tired of waiting on these guys. I'm not going another freaking week without turning on. Yeah, this was really frustrating because the landlord has, you know, a bunch of employees that work for him, and you know, he said he had guys that could do this, and I waited 3 weeks for them to basically cut that sheet of drywall. Very frustrating, but it's fine. And I always think it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. So I just like, when I came down, I'm like, I'm just doing it myself. I'm not even gonna talk to the landlord. I'm just gonna cut it. And I did it, and everything worked out great. I ended up making the hole a little bit bigger because I found these bigger fans at Home Depot, these 42-inch drum fans. And they're actually belt driven, so they're actually super quiet. The Mystic cases are louder than these fans. And they move more CFM, okay? They use 10,000 CFM each compared to the 6,000 CFM of those wall mount fans. And I think it's gonna be, they're way nicer because I think I can just swap them out super easy, because if one goes bad, I just swap a fan. The wall mount fans, man, they're not gonna be as easy to swap out. Plus, I had to wait for an electrician. So the landlord's electrician couldn't come out for 3 weeks. And then I called 2 or 3 of my own electricians, and the soonest was 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm not waiting no 2 weeks. And so I found these, they're way better. So I'm super excited about that. I just hooked them up right there to see if they work, and they were doing great. They really suck the air out. I mean, there's 20,000 CFM between those 2 fans. And they're the same price as the wall mount fans. So, I mean, they won't look as good because they're not flush, but I mean, I'm gonna make them look fantastic. They look great to me. So, yeah, there's a lot of negative pressure, and it's working really good so far. I'm super excited. All right, guys, there's been a change of plans here. So I got those 2 fans right there getting 20,000 CFM, but I'm just worried because that half of these miners right here, right, that are on these plugs, I don't even have ones on these plugs yet, but these all just hit that wall. And so I could build like a triangle thing here, so that way the wind hits it, gets sucked that way. But I mean, we're only in March, and so it's just gonna get hotter and hotter here. So I'm just worried that in a couple months it'll still be too hot. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to cut another hole right here and add another shelf with 2 more fans right here. And I think that'll be perfect. And so yeah, I'm gonna turn all of these off and cut another hole. So a little bit premature getting them turned on. Yeah, you can definitely tell how excited I was, but I wanted to do this right. I didn't want to have to shut down the miners again in like 3 months from now when it got too hot. So I decided I might as well add another hole and add 2 more fans. Yeah, because it really helps, because what happens was the heat was hitting that wall, and some of it was getting sucked out, and the other half was getting circulating back into the room. And so then the same heat is just getting circulated. So there was creating a hot pocket right there. And the only miners I have on are the Mystics. I don't have any of my other miners on. So I'm like, I gotta make a change. I didn't have any intake, but I knew that I gotta add them. So I went ahead and cut the hole, and I did this hole from start to finish all by myself. And I definitely got better at it as I started doing it, and I found my groove, and it's really easy, actually. You guys are totally right. It was so easy. I don't know why I didn't just do it in the first place. But yeah, lesson learned. And I actually really enjoyed it. It's really fun to just like do your own work. You know, I'm putting my own hole in the wall. I'm adding my own exhaust. I'm getting my miners online. It's definitely fun, and I enjoyed it. And I decided to, oh man, look at that sunset, freaking awesome. But anyway, I decided to build my own boxes because I just bought a shelf for convenience for the first one, but that was when I thought I only needed 2 fans. But now that I needed 4, I didn't want to spend another $400 on a shelf. I'm gonna end up using that shelf on some of the other miners that aren't in rows. And I'm just gonna build my own boxes because then I can make them thinner and have the fans closer to the wall so I have more walkway on that first row. And also it's way cheaper. I mean, I spent like $150 on all the lumber for these 2 boxes. And then plus I could strap down the fans better. Yeah, so I just basically built these boxes, and I'm gonna put the fans right on top, and then I have these ratchet straps that I have with these hooks. I'm just ratcheting them down, and they're gonna be flush with the wall. And then I cut the plywood, and I measured out the perfect diameter holes here. And I wanna mount them up on the wall so that, you know, that the extra air doesn't come back in, because in the little gaps between on my shelf, I did notice that there was air coming pushed back in. So I think that this will help a lot. And I decided to paint it because I want to show the landlord that I can build quality things, right? And then also I'm the one that looks at it, and I wanted it painted because I thought it would look super cool. So yeah, I took the time to paint it, and I'm not going to paint the whole thing right off the bat. I really just want to get it up. I want to get the tops painted and the back painted so I can get the fans mounted and working so I can turn the miners on, because I'd rather work with all the miners on than just work in a cooler room. And it was definitely challenging to figure out how to get these fans up because I could not lift them, and I just put some 2x4s up and rolled them up. It was definitely super sketchy. I almost dropped one of the fans a couple times. So yeah, I figured you gotta do what you gotta do when you're by yourself here, right? So then I decided to completely rearrange the farm. I'm gonna put all the open frames right in the middle because the open frames are the hottest rigs I have because they don't have fans on them, right? And I could add fans, and I probably will end up having to, but I wanted to run these rows right down here because before they were right at the front, and that's like the biggest hot pocket. And so I didn't want to put them in front of the Mystic cases because the Mystic cases are blowing a lot of hot air. And on the other side of this side, there is no hot air because the Mystic cases and the exhaust fans are sucking that heat through. So it's actually way cooler than it was before. But as I add another row in the back, it might get hotter. So what I might end up doing is adding some drum fans between the 2 open frame aisles there. We'll see what happens. But this is why I love I always cable manage the power, because then I can just dolly the stuff right there and get it all plugged in. Makes it easy. But these last 2, I didn't have any power management done, so I just went through it, hooked all the Ethernet cables up. I am planning on managing these next time I come down. I want to run them through the ceiling, and so it'll be super clean and nice. I'm going to run one for each aisle. And I put all the Octominers up front, so I'm planning on doing all racks at the front row with all Octominers. So we got the Octominer row, the open frame row, and then the Mystic cases. And I don't know about that first row, it might be too hot, but we'll see what happens. I decided to clean out all the miners too. I didn't show the open frames on camera, but I decided to, since I had them all off, I was going to clean them all out because they were all dusty from the construction. Even though they weren't on, they got dusty. So I wanted to clean them out so you know, it's just good to have them clean. So got all these up and running. I added a 5th Octominer or Mystic case right to the front there and got all those online. And I actually have to head home for like 3 days. And so I just put this gate up so that I could leave and it was secure. And I am planning on building a wind tunnel on that side, guys, because I want all the heat to go out of the building. But I just didn't have time. I'm going to build it when I come down. I'll make another video on the wind tunnel. I'm super excited about it. But right now, everything is running. It's been running for about 5 days now. I have 0 heat issues. I have 0 intake. I do want to add an intake just to compare, but I don't even know if I need it because the building is so large and I have such a large negative pressure. The other side of the building is freezing cold, and the only heat is right at the front of this. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think. Here's the final product when it's all done.